Hello, everybody. Very excited to be here with Michele Graham, VP of HSC CPA, and we are excited to talk about a topic that is important to virtually everybody: saving money, and specifically how getting organized will save you money. So what do we mean by that?
Thanks, Ridgely. When you're organized, you're able to capture all of your deductions. We're also able to avoid fees later from having to make additional changes. And there's an opportunity for additional cleaning just because we have more complete and robust information to work with.
Makes complete sense. And I know that there are a number of things that people could be paying attention to specifically when it comes to this issue of being organized. And I'm wondering if we could kind of walk through those a little bit so that people are really aware of exactly how they can begin that process to help you save them money. Let's walk through them. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
So talk to us a little bit about stimulus and child tax credit payments.
So there were a lot of payments that went out to taxpayers both in 2020 and then again in 2021. And all of those payments for 2021 need to be reconciled on the 2021 tax return. And again, just because of the timing and some of those came really early in the year, it might be difficult to remember exactly what those payments were. So the IRS has sent out letters, and they started doing that earlier this month. And those letters are really important to capture and retain in your files because it will give us the complete picture and information that the IRS has as far as those payments that were sent out. So those are definitely important letters to retain.
The beginning of organization. Keep the stuff you get from the IRS, right?
That's right. That's right.
Excellent. Okay, now what about if you're a victim of fraud or identity theft?
So there's a program that's out there where you are able to obtain a PIN number, and this serves as almost like a second two-factor identification. So we include that PIN number when we e-file your tax return, but there's a way that you get that PIN number, and it's through a letter that the IRS sends. So again, more correspondence coming from the IRS that's important to retain. And without that number, we actually are not able to e-file your return, which is the most efficient way to file. So making sure you capture that letter and provide it to us so we have your PIN number is really helpful.
Yep, I get that one. Now, I know one of the things that people overlook sometimes is their quarterly estimates. Important for you to know those, right?
Yes. So quarterly estimates are important to know not only the amount that's being paid, but also we need to know when those payments were made. So if somebody had a transaction occur during the year and we've adjusted their estimates over time, it's important for us to capture those dates to help minimize underpayment penalties.
And what about charitable contributions? What about those? How do we deal with those?
There's a number of charitable contributions that are made throughout the year. And sometimes people, just write a little check and send that on. And so you probably got a letter from your charity. So that's good to retain. But another thing that's become increasingly popular is for individuals who are taking required minimum distributions out of their IRA to go ahead and use those funds as direct transfers to a charity. So that's called a QCD, or a qualified charitable distribution. Those do not get disclosed on the 1099. So it's something that is really difficult for us to know just by looking at the form. And it requires a conversation, or requires additional information from the taxpayer for us to know that you've made charitable contributions out of your IRA. So if you can just make a note on your organizer, or shoot a quick email, or somehow indicate to us, maybe even just in a conversation that you're having with your advisor, that's certainly important for us to capture that. The other piece I would say is don't forget those small contributions. They all add up if you are taking itemized deductions, or even if not, there is an above the line deduction for taxpayers who might otherwise not have benefit from itemized deductions. So even those small charitable deductions can add up.
We like things that add up to savings. Yes, we do.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, COVID has had a big impact on a lot of people. And there's obviously PPP loans, and there's also the employee retention credits. Those are important to be organized about, right?
Sure. So those are things that you might not think about when it comes to income taxes because you're thinking about the PPP loans in terms of your cash flow. You're also thinking of the employee retention credits and maybe payroll taxes. But both of those have impacts at the individual income tax level as well if you are a business owner. So if you have a corporation or a partnership, you might have already addressed that, but we don't want to forget about those businesses that maybe just file directly on their Schedule C and have either one of those options. So we need to adjust your deductions for both of those amounts. We want to make sure that your PPP loan forgiveness is not taxable to the extent that you qualify. And then we also want to make sure that we are not double dipping on those employee retention credit dollars. So lots of reconciliation again, and something that could easily be overlooked because it might have occurred almost a year ago at this point in time in your business.
Yeah, that's why being organized is so key. And I know one of the things that's really coming up a lot recently is cryptocurrency and foreign transactions. The government's really paying attention to those. Why is it so important that we also pay attention?
So unfortunately, the reporting mechanisms for both of those are not quite the same caliber of the reporting mechanisms as your other brokerage accounts. So if you're not organized, past records probably aren't being organized in general. There are some changes on the horizon where you'll receive more favorable reporting and maybe easier reporting to understand. But for right now, a lot of the transactions that have occurred are frankly quite messy and difficult to follow. So if you can keep good records of transactions where you've bought and sold cryptocurrency, that will really help out and avoid unnecessary tax on proceeds that maybe you just didn't have quite all the details for.
And I know also that people forget that if you make a gift over $15,000, that actually requires separate reporting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's a gift tax return that needs to be filed for anyone who's made a gift over $15,000 to any individual. So you can make those gifts to multiple individuals, but if you're making that to any one individual, you do need to file a gift tax return. There's may not be any gift tax actually due on that return. So it might be more information reporting at this point in time, but that gift tax return should be filed. It's also a great opportunity if you're looking at gifting to talk with your advisor and think about maybe a longer term gifting strategy beyond just that 1 year. And so maybe looking at your gifts overall, your estate plan overall, and then using that information to really do some forward thinking.
Well, I know one other thing that HSC does is that you've provided for many years an organizer. So as we wrap up this interview, talk to us about the organizer and the enhancements this year on the organizer process.
Absolutely. So we know that for many years, clients have received paper organizers, and those can become quite thick. Lots of paper, lots of trees that we're using, and honestly, a little cumbersome for people that have maybe adapted to a lot of electronic records now. So the W-2s you receive, brokerage statements that you receive, a lot of those are electronic now, whereas even just a few years ago, they weren't. So we have moved to also offering an electronic organizer through a program and a platform called Tax Caddy. We're really excited about it. And so to the extent that sounds interesting to you and you really deal a lot more with your documents electronically, either on your phone or your computer or any other kind of tablet, that might be a great solution for you instead of the paper organizer. So we do still have the paper organizer out there. I know some people, including myself, enjoy paper in certain situations, but with all of those documents coming electronically, we really just felt it was a good time to make that move to offer an electronic platform and hope for a seamless process for our clients.
And what's nice is, depending on whether you prefer the paper or you prefer the electronic, either one is made available to you. Absolutely. So that you can get organized and save money. Michele, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I know it's a very, very busy time of year for you, so we won't take up any more of the time, but thanks on behalf of all the clients, all of whom are looking to save money. We deeply appreciate you and your expertise. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.